Well, good morning, guys, and welcome to the show, Fernando.
Welcome to the show.
Today, we're going to talk to you about, well, something you guys ask a lot about, this thing here. And you're going, well, what is this thing here? But I tell you what, I'll tell you right after the intro. It is becoming extremely more common to integrate into the factory stereo. That's just what's happening. It's getting really big. We won't go into that. You guys all know that. And because of that, we need T-harnesses. Companies come out with them and then they go away and then they bring them back and then other people say they're the exclusive on them and they invented them, and either way, it doesn't matter. Today, whether it's this brand or someone else's, we're gonna talk to you about T-harnesses. And specifically, we are gonna talk to you about this brand because I think they do a really cool job, but more to inform you that, hey, these are things you might wanna look for when buying a T-harness. This particular T-harness is from PAC, and you can find this one at pac-audio.com, and this is in the LPH category. So if you go to the search bar and you type in LPH, it'll drop down and give you a list of these. You can also go to the make, model, and year of your car. This is the FD31. This is from 2018 to 22, non-amplified Ford's 32-pin connector. And why I thought this was an important thing to talk about today is because these are new-ish. They've been around for about, I'd like to say a year now, but they keep releasing more and more of them. They didn't just do like a bulk release. So there's new ones all the time. We've used them here and we've talked about them on the show, but we've never done an in-depth look at what they come with. Just because this is a Ford, it's universally applied throughout the whole line, meaning what this does, all of them will do. Let's open it up and pull out a bunch of parts. If you look at the back, there is a QR code that you can scan and probably learn some information about this harness. It does also give you make, models, and years of cars that this is going to work with. And naturally, there is an install guide, because even though this might seem trivial to some people, it isn't to everyone. And this will go through and kind of explain how everything works. I do recommend checking this out because some of these are a little bit more complicated than others. And then there's a nice diagram on the back side that shows a case use for them, one up here and one down here. For those of you that are going, what exactly is a T-harness? Let's take a closer look. Typically, it'd be a harness in the shape of a T. I get it. It's gonna have a end on it that will plug into the radio, and then this same harness that you just unplugged into the radio will plug into the other end. And then there'll be connections in the middle. These come where they're already attached. And the reason for that is because there's different things you might wanna be doing, and that's what all these special accessories are for. What you need to do is come in and unplug them, and it'll have a male and female end, so you won't make a mistake. It'll have them for all channels that are available behind the radio. They also give you a power output plug here. Now this is important because what you'll see here is a yellow and a black, and they use standard colors, so this is a constant 12 volt, this is a ground. There is no red wire, and the reason for that is this particular Ford uses data to create an accessory wire. However, when we look at the specialty harness that is going to plug into the end of this, you will notice there is in fact a red wire, but there is nothing on the other side of that. This is a universal harness that is going to plug into all of them, but not all of them are going to work the same way. For example, there might not be a constant 12 volts. In this case, there's not a accessory. There might not be a ground. It doesn't matter. What you need to do is make sure before you connect this that you look on this end to see what is available to you. We'll work through the accessories that this has because it has a couple depending on what you're trying to do. The first one of these connectors we want to take a look at is this one here, which is the blue-red. And we're going to take a look at it first because it's the most unique one out of it. It's blue and red. You guys don't ever see blue and red for speaker wire. It's not really common, and it looks different than the other. And the reason for that is this is also a T-harness. Let's zoom in and take a closer look. If you flip it over on the side here, they all have cool little shrink wrap with writing on it, and this says sub T. This is for just adding a subwoofer to the system. It has these two outputs here, but it also has the input and output. It has this giant bundle, which is actually quite thick, right? And the reason for that, when you unplug the speaker outputs, a side note, when connecting a subwoofer, most of the time the front is going to have the most amount of bass. This can be tested using an electrical RTA, a device like the RTA2, which is a 2-channel electrical RTA that you can get at DNF Tool Drawer, will allow you to actually look at both front and rear at the same time and see which one does have the most amount of bass. Plug in both ends. Because we're just getting subwoofer, we don't want to lose front out to the rest of the speakers. We just want to tee into it. So signal's going to come from the radio. It's going to pass through this area here and back out to the speakers. This is just a big T here. So they've just attached these two wires into this front output. That way you won't lose signal going off to the rest of the speakers in the car. And then you can choose whether you want to use red, blue, or both red and blue, whichever you decide. This gives you a way to add in an amplifier without disrupting the signal going off to the other speakers in the car. The next pair up are going to be the white with gray and the green with purple. Green with purple in our world is considered rear. White with gray in our world is considered front. White is going to be drivers, gray is going to be passenger. With the green, that will be driver and purple will be passenger. If you're just going to connect something into the front, leave the green and purple connected together and plug in both front connectors to their male and female. On the side here, it has more writing. Front signal 2 amp because this is coming from the radio, and on here it says front signal from amp. So this is going to be coming from the amplifier off to the speakers that you're powering. And then you'll have both ends here to go off to the high level input on your amplifier or high level to low level or DSP or whatever it is you're running. This is very handy if you're doing a front stage upgrade. The other thing you can do is add in the Y adapter for the subwoofer. If you want to connect and run all wires, or you're putting the front in the dash and the sub in the whatever you need to do. If you want to add this in also, do it on the radio side. Unplug this here, plug in your connectors now, and this will give you that sub output, which is going to be a T that just runs through this and then off to both amplifiers. Now you have two sets of outputs to go off to those amplifiers. The reason why you don't want to put it on this side, this is the amplifier side. So this would be getting the signal from the amplifier. If you're running 100 watts into this high level to low level adapter that is going to be attached to this now has to handle that, which it's not capable of doing. If you want to do front and rear, disconnect the green and purple and plug all 4 connectors in. And now you have 4 channels of high level output here and speaker level connection here to go off to the speakers. And if you wanted to do 5 channel connections so you could occupy all those inputs on your high level to low level adapter, you can also tee this in the same way you did and take those all the way back. And then of course, if you need a constant 12 volts and a ground, you can plug this back in. Now if you're like, man, I really need accessory, first off what you want to do is check with the amplifier you're installing or the high level to low level adapter. Some of them use signal sense or DC offset to generate the remote turn on. Alright guys, that's it. That's what's cool about this. Hope you guys found this useful. I hope if you're going to be integrating into your radio, you'll check out and try to find a T-harness to do it so that you don't cut up your harness and destroy it and ruin the car that you're working on or your car yourself. That's all I got for you. Fernando.
On to the next one, guys.
You guys have a great night as always. We'll see you later next time.
Bye.
Bye.